Meet Sir Christopher Wren, a super important guy in British history. He was like a Renaissance man, awesome at many things. He was an architect, astronomer, mathematician and scientist all rolled into one. He changed London's skyline forever and made big discoveries in science. His most famous work, St. Paul's Cathedral, is still a super important landmark in London. He was also a whiz at astronomy and math, which made him a true genius. Wren lived during a really exciting time in Europe called the Scientific Revolution. Lots of new discoveries were changing what people thought, and Wren, always curious, was right in the middle of it all. He was the perfect example of a Renaissance man, mixing art and science in everything he did. Becoming a genius, education and early interests. Christopher Wren was born in 1632 into a smart and religious family. His dad was the Dean of Windsor, which meant Christopher got a top-notch education. Even as a kid, Christopher was super smart. He aced math and loved reading classic stories. He also liked drawing and designing things. At Oxford University, he studied math and astronomy and quickly became known for being brilliant. He graduated with top marks, but his interests went beyond school. He was fascinated by how the world worked, doing experiments in anatomy and physics. These early explorations helped him become the amazing, multi-talented guy he was. At Wren, the astronomer, looking at the stars. Wren loved astronomy. He made important discoveries, especially about how planets move. He came up with a model of the solar system based on Kepler's laws. He also made telescopes even better, so people could see space more clearly. Wren's astronomy work connected him with other top scientists. He was one of the first members of the Royal Society, a super important science group in England. As a member, Wren talked about his research with other scientists. His work helped us understand the universe better and made him a famous scientist. More than stars geometry, mechanics and the Royal Society. Wren wasn't just interested in astronomy, he also made cool discoveries in geometry and mechanics. He found new ways to make conic sections and explored ideas about momentum and gravity, which are super important in physics. The Royal Society was a big part of Wren's science life. He was even the president from 1680 to 1682. With Wren in charge, the Society became a centre for scientific discoveries. Wren's focus on good science and working together helped make the Royal Society what it is today, still a major voice in science. The Great Fire of London in 1666 changed Wren's life. The fire destroyed tons of buildings, including St. Paul's Cathedral. Wren was really sad about the destruction, but he also saw a chance to rebuild London better than before. He imagined a modern city with wide streets, big squares and amazing buildings. But not everyone agreed with Wren's big plans. Rebuilding was hard, and people wanted to rebuild on their old land, which made things tricky. Even though it wasn't easy, Wren's ideas shaped how London was rebuilt. He became the surveyor of the King's works, which meant he was in charge of rebuilding many of London's churches and important buildings. Wren's masterpiece, St. Paul's Cathedral. Wren's most famous building is St. Paul's Cathedral. He was asked to build a new cathedral after the old one burned down, and he did an amazing job. He used ideas from classical architecture and also used new engineering tricks, creating a beautiful Baroque building. The cathedral's dome, which you can see all over London, shows how brilliant Wren was. It's both beautiful and a really smart piece of engineering. The dome, with its inner and outer layers, was a wonder back then and still amazes people today. St. Paul's Cathedral is one of London's most loved landmarks and a tribute to Wren's genius. A legacy in stone, Wren's architectural influence. St. Paul's is Wren's most famous building, but he designed lots of other amazing things too. He designed over 50 churches in London, each one showing his unique style. His churches, with their beautiful towers and balanced designs, helped shape how London looks. Wren didn't just design churches, he also designed other important buildings, like the Royal Observatory at Greenwich and the Sheldonian Theatre in Oxford. These buildings show how talented he was and how he could create different designs for different places and purposes. The big idea, science and art together. What makes Sir Christopher Wren so special is how he mixed science and art. He didn't think they were separate. His scientific work helped his architecture, and his artistic side helped his science. You can see this mix in everything he created. Wren's work still inspires us today. His life shows how powerful curiosity can be and reminds us that learning doesn't have limits. He showed how different areas of study can work together. Today, when people often focus on just one thing, Wren reminds us that it's good to learn about lots of different things. Wrapping up, a legacy for the ages. Sir Christopher Wren's legacy is all over London and in the history of science. His buildings, especially St. Paul's Cathedral, are still amazing to look at. His scientific discoveries, especially in astronomy and math, helped us understand the world better. Wren's life shows how amazing human creativity can be. He was a true Enlightenment figure, representing the curiosity and new ideas that changed the world.